Some of you may remember the 911 Cabriolet that we converted back into a Targa again for Tyler Hoover. And in this video, we're going to tear down the engine, we're going to remove the broken head studs which took this 911 off the road 20 plus years ago. We'll also be double helicoiling one of the head studs that had to be drilled out. What a nightmare.
In the thrust washer.
Okay, here we have 3 Dilavar head studs. 2 on one side, 1 on the other. You can tell they're Dilavar by the color of the material. And they've each broken, and they've been broken for a long time. Typical. Alright, here we have the oil thermostat. Looks like it's been leaking for about, I'd say, 25 years. Next, we found a scored cylinder, which necessitated a trip to the super secret part stash. Need your security clearance to get in here.
I have my badge. This is the security bike.
Yeah. Let's take them in. This is it. And if we take a look here, you can see this stud has snapped off almost flush with the case. We've tried the traditional methods for getting that stud out. Of course, we've welded the nuts on several times, but this stud is so oxidized that it just keeps snapping. It's got stress risers and stress pockets that just continue to snap and break. And so what we're going to do now is grind this stud flat so that we can use our jig we've made to drill out the stud. So we're going to use this old Alusil cylinder, which is actually the cylinder that came in this engine, which is not reusable. There's no rings for the pistons for these. You can have them replated and buy new pistons and rings, but that gets expensive. We bought a used set of Nickeys, but we've made this piece to use as a guide to drill out our Dilavar head stud. And so we'll put it through like this, put that in there, we'll put our drill bit in to hold it self-centered, and we'll try to drill out the Dilavar and then get the Dilavar stud out once we can grab it with an easy out. So we'll give that a try. The case was now prepped for the helicoiled thread insert. If this case had been made of magnesium like the earlier 2.7 cases, then we would have had used a different insert called a timesert. But since this case is aluminum and this thread is basically a static thread with only occasional torque checking during routine maintenance, there is not a stronger thread option when fitted properly. I've been using helicoils on aluminum engines for years, and there are engines that come with helicoils installed new. Lycoming, Continental, Teledyne, Honda, even American big block aluminum engines come with factory installed helicoils. Once the helicoil has been installed, the tang on the end of the insert must be removed by breaking it off. After driving in the first insert to the correct depth, the second insert is installed flush with the case, and again the tang is removed. You can see it here on the end of the magnet. Test fit the head stud and beautiful. Let us never speak of this again. That was a total pain. But once the head stud is installed and the stud height has been checked, we can begin to install the pistons and cylinders. But first, a little cylinder prep, since these pistons are getting a new set of rings.
What are we doing?
We're going to hone this cylinder out just a bit with the flex hone. Add a little cross hatching to give the ring something to bite into when the new rings seat in the cylinder. It only takes about 4 passes with this, so it's going to go quick. That's it. Can you see the crosshatch in the cylinder? So we've used a flex hone on our Nicky cylinders here. We are wiping them out with our motor oil for a third go around. And we're preparing to install the Molly pistons into our cylinders and then put them back on the engine. All right, we have our cylinders set up and oiled. We have our thick fins on the bottom for cooling on the exhaust side. We have our pistons ready. We have the rings oriented correctly. We have the E, which points to the intake manifold side, so this goes up. And I like to put the control ring, the oil control ring here. The brake, I like it to go up so we don't have any oil draining down around the piston. This is sort of fiddly. You have to work it into the compressor first. And then we'll just push this down into our compressor and into the cylinder. It ends up looking like this. Another one done. Job done. So this is the stud that initially broke off in the case, which was a nightmare. And it broke off, and when we got it, it was broken off here toward the end. But it continued to break in several places. Sometimes you can use an impact to take these out, and the jarring action will twist it out, but sometimes they're just stuck and they're not going to come out. You can also try grabbing the stud in different locations to put equal pressure along the stud so you don't put too much localized pressure on one spot. But this thing was not going to come out. We've got our piston installed in the cylinder. We've got one circlip already installed. This part faces this cylinder here, so we'll be able to install our circlip on this side. Alright, so this is it.